make sure you have a why, not a what and a how. Take the time to understand the why your business or the business you're going to join exists. If you're a leader joining an early stage startup, my biggest tip would be make sure that that why and that mission resonates with you personally.
Welcome to our series entitled the IAM Podcast, a podcast about innovation, business, and most importantly, people. In this series, we'll be talking to founders, executives, and various experts about their vision, challenges, best practices, and lessons learned throughout their journey. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? Today, I'm excited. I'm joined by the president of UK, and now he's leading the European expansion at doceree, Mr. Gareth Shaw. Hello, Gareth. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm very excited to know you, your journey, your product, everything, the challenges, So welcome first to the IAM Podcast.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
All right, so let's just get started. Okay, you started at Yahoo 6 years ago.
I did.
And you did quite a lot there. And now you are leading doceree, UK and Europe. So please take us to your journey, the leadership journey.
Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit more than 6 years ago. So I started at Yahoo, way back when, probably about 15 years ago.
Wow.
And back when Yahoo was before Google owned search, and Yahoo also had a search product. So I worked on search. I then worked in digital advertising, and I was kind of at Yahoo as digital advertising really started to explode. So I think I worked there for all 5 years, where it was the year of mobile. Now mobile is synonymous with digital, but we saw that one come in. So worked at Yahoo, sold every type of digital media they had: mobile, sponsorships, video, search. Learned a lot of stuff. Then I went off to work for Experian. People might recognize those guys because they do a lot of credit checking, but they're also a massive data company. And I worked for those guys just as merging offline data and online data was a very cool, new, sexy thing. I went and worked at Experian just as that was coming in, and learned a lot around merging data from on and offline worlds. I then went back to Yahoo. I got approached and sort of asked to come back just as programmatic marketing was kicking off. So programmatic marketing, for anyone who isn't familiar with that term, is really using data and AI and machine learning to target advertising in real time. So you and I could be on the same website at more or less the same time, reading the same content, but based on our profiles, our interests, our interactions with the content and what we've seen before, we may see different promotional messages, and that's all done in real time. So that I went back to Yahoo to help them with that, and then I went to a company called PulsePoint. We went through a few different iterations. I went over and helped them launch their ad exchange, so their programmatic marketing marketplace in Europe. I then ended up running the European team for those guys for about 5 years, and then spent 3 years running global operations for them, based in the UK, but working primarily with the North American markets on US time. And in that journey, PulsePoint pivoted to specialize in servicing the healthcare industry. So taking digital marketing and programmatic marketing into the healthcare vertical. So learned a lot about leadership, learned a lot about startups and changing before you have to, and building businesses, and also the health sector, and merging what I knew around advertising and technology with healthcare. PulsePoint was recently acquired by WebMD Medscape, who are one of the biggest medical publishers in the world. So it's a successful exit for that business. And then my phone rang just as that exit had been announced, and it was my new CEO, Harshit Jay, who told me all about doceree and their global vision and what they were looking to do in terms of, successfully launched the platform in the US, successfully launched the platform in India, and wanting to come to Europe and the rest of the world beyond that. And then the rest has been a bit of a roller coaster. So I'm seven weeks into the role now, and really really enjoying it.
So this isn't your first startup, right? Not the first one that you joined. Okay, why did you decide?
Not the first one. No, second one. But
Right.
I'm earlier in the startup bit this time. The other one I joined had been going for a few years. This one's a lot fresher and a lot more exciting.
A lot more exciting. So how was the experience so far, Gareth?
No, excellent. I mean, the thing that really excites me around startups is that it's, everything's so new, particularly if you're trying to solve a problem in a new problem or a different problem in a different way. You're blazing trail and you're literally trying to educate a market and build a business, as opposed to coming to market with a Me Too style product. So that kind of excitement around, being outside your comfort zone sometimes because no one's done it before. Coupled with the fact that you're actually building something. A year from now, 2 years, 3 years from now, I'll be able to look back at where we started with one employee in Europe, which was me, to hopefully having a thriving EMEA region business as part of a thriving global business, and having real sense of kind of ownership and pride in kind of building that, and whether that's building the business, building a team, building process. I kind of love all that. I almost see it as like puzzle pieces. Finding all the puzzle pieces and slotting them together to make the pretty picture or the big tower.
Amazing. We're going to look forward to that. Okay. We are all going to look forward to that. Okay. Tell us about doceree. What problem are you trying to solve? I mean, what gap did you see that you felt, okay, I need to solve this?
Cool. So, so doceree's vision is we want to make pharmaceutical marketing more effective and efficient. But going deeper within that, we don't just want to, get better at pushing adverts in front of doctors. We want to use AI, real-time technology to engage physicians and doctors, with clinical messaging that helps them make better informed decisions around how, the best treatments and therapies and drugs to drive better patient outcomes. And if we're able to do that, we're not just adding value to a pharmaceutical brand that wants to put messaging in front of a doctor. We're driving value for the doctor. We're driving value for the digital platform the doctor's on, whether it's a website, a medical journal website, whether it's a telehealth platform, and we're driving value for the patient as well, because what patient doesn't want to, when they go to the doctor with a particular ailment, want the doctor to have the most informed knowledge about the possible treatments that are available to them. So that's kind of really our why. And then the what and the how is we use, AI, real-time technology to kind of do that. And, we were actually founded just before COVID hit. And, the vision was that, but then with the global pandemic coming in and the existing kind of model, the main model in pharmaceutical marketing, it's been kind of sales reps who go around and they visit doctors and then they educate them on the latest therapies and treatments and drugs and give them leave behinds and studies and share all that information. That went away almost overnight with lockdown. And before that, digital had almost been a box ticking exercise. The marketers knew they needed to do digital, but it was like, hey, let's just do digital. We'll put money into this digital black box, and we'll keep doing the sales rep thing. And I don't think sales reps will disappear, but I think how they're used will change. But as the world becomes more digital, as healthcare becomes more digital, driven by a global pandemic, doctors, physicians, they're very busy people. They don't have very much time. They're leaning on technology more and more to help them do their work. Mm-hmm. And as a business, we want to enhance that experience by making sure that the right physician sees the right message at the right time, so that they can make that better, more informed decision, and they've got the information they need at their fingertips. So yeah, that's what we're kind of doing. We want to, beyond just the marketing element, we want to better understand what behavior drives a physician to prescribe a certain drug versus another one. Because in the consumer world, it's pretty easy. You know, if I buy a car because I want that type of car versus another type of car, I made the decision for me. But in the physician world, they're making a decision on someone else's behalf. So, you know, we want to really get into the data, start understanding that as well, and you know, starting to build better solutions around engagement and measurement and optimization.
Okay, so for those who do not know yet and want to know, how does it work? I mean, could you walk us through?
Yeah, sure. So I'll sort of start with programmatic advertising. I'll give you a quick run through of that, and then I'll tell you how we do it with doCare in the physician world. So real-time advertising, the easiest way to think about that is anyone who's ever been to eBay. You know, you go into eBay, you find something you like that's in an auction, and you bid on it, and then you get into a little bidding war, and then it's like whoever's got the highest bid wins. So imagine now you're on a website that has adverts. As that page loads, so in less than probably 100 milliseconds or less, the page will be loading, the ad will be loading. The technology exists now where if that ad hasn't been sold by the website themselves, they can push that out to platforms like doCare, where we'll go, we know that website is all around the latest cardiology treatments, and the reader is a cardiologist. Let's put a relevant cardiology ad in there in kind of real time. So it's the melding of sort of real-time technology and data to serve tailored messaging or advertising is programmatic advertising. And what doCare does is we do that exclusively for physicians in professional physician environments. So what that means is, broadly speaking, we have we segment the world into two. One would be, we call them endemic websites, but things like medical journals, medical information websites, but basically websites where it's only a professional audience. You only ever go there if you're a doctor, and you're probably logged in, so they know you're a doctor and what your specialty is. And then also we have what we call point of care platforms. So they may be things like telehealth platforms, electronic health records. You know, I'm sure it's pretty similar all over the world. You go and see the doctor, they're sat in front of a computer, and as they're talking to you, they're tapping away on the keyboard, writing into your health record. Being able to display highly targeted messaging there can be potentially incredibly valuable. And one of the use cases, it's kind of unique to the US a little bit, but there's the use case that I find really powerful there is, I think most of the world knows healthcare in America can be quite expensive sometimes, but a lot of the pharma brands, if some of their treatments are quite expensive, they'll issue coupons or copay cards to reduce the cost, so the insurance company can cover it and the patient is less out of pocket. Lots of, I think 90-80% of that is left on the table. It isn't used. So it's a big problem with drug adherence. You know, if you're prescribed something and you don't fulfill your prescription because it's too expensive, or you only take half a dose, or you don't fulfill your repeat prescription because you can't afford it, you're not going to get better as the doctor intended. But if the doctor can give you a coupon that means that you don't have to spend any of your money, it's covered by your insurance company, adherence, outcome all goes through the roof. So that's a really powerful use case of what we're doing in terms of the electronic health record space in the US. Okay,
who do you offer your products to?
So we kind of got two sort of customer base. You think about doCare as, in its simplest form, we're a marketplace. On one side you have the demand, on one side you have the supply. So the demand would be pharma brands, the agencies that represent them, and to a lesser extent, any kind of company or brand that wants to engage with a physician. And then on the supply side, it will be, your medical journals, your telehealth platforms, your electronic health records. So we're trying to, provide a service to put the right message in front of the right physician at the right time on one side. And on the supply side, we want to give the best, most relevant information in a timely manner to the physician. And we want to do so that enhances the platform they're using. So they see it as a value add to whatever platform it may be, whether it be telehealth or a website, with as opposed to the advertising sometimes gets a bad rep because there have been some bad actors over the years where it's just hammering adverts at people to try, if you throw enough out there, something will stick. We want to be a lot more targeted so that it's right message, right time. So it's like, oh, this is valuable. Give me more of it.
Okay, you talked about like bad adverts and COVID-19. What are the other challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
It's a great question. So from my standpoint, one of the biggest challenges is education. So my background, as we've sort of been through, I've had a number of jobs at Yahoo and worked in more generic ad tech roles before I got into healthcare. And on the consumer marketing, digital is very sophisticated. There's lots of tools, lots of values. It's really been worked out how, it's constantly improving as the technology gets better, but the common mistakes and pitfalls have kind of happened and everyone's learned how to use it. There's a little more apprehension on the healthcare side, and that's both on the demand and the supply side, because they haven't really needed to do it. They've seen it as, hey, digital's good, but let's get it on our plan as a box ticking exercise. We'll still use reps as our main thing, but especially with COVID coming along and the fact that doctors have less and less time to interact with reps, digital is becoming bigger. But to get back to your original question, the challenge is around education. So, they're talking about bad advertising stories. When programmatic first came out, a lot of the supply side, so a lot of the publishers who had the websites, saw it as a backdoor for advertisers to buy their supply cheaper in an unguaranteed fashion. Now that kind of did happen a little bit in some instances, but it quickly stopped because advertisers want to pay to engage users. They're not interested in buying the cheapest user. They're interested in buying the best user. And in most cases, they'll pay more to get the best the best audience and the best engagement. And those horror stories still ring true for some of the supply side in terms of healthcare. They may have tried programmatic generically back in the day, not made much money, and gone, oh, no, it's not for us. Whereas now the technology is better. And because we're only doing it for healthcare, we understand the value of what we're doing. We're not trying to slot in an advert for a holiday or a car alongside an advert for, a prescription medication where the value to the publisher, could be, well, I'll make $5 per 1,000 views or $7 per 1,000 views or $1,000 per 1,000 views. So, they're not losing that revenue potential. So education is a massive challenge, I think, but a solvable one because what we're doing works. And
okay, your expertise lies, I think, in advertising and high-performing teams, building teams, right? So could you share with us some tips? Like, how do you build a high-performing team?
It's a cliche, but hire smart people. And I think to put more flesh on the bones of that, though, particularly for a startup, I was speaking to a consultant friend of mine, probably in the last few years, and he hit me with a I can't remember whose quote it was, but he was saying, as a manager or a leader, it's not your job to motivate people. And I was like, yes, it is. Like, if I'm not inspiring or motivating, what am I doing? And he said, no, your role as a leader or a manager, well, as a leader, that's not kind of muddy the water by using leader and manager in the same thing, because I think they are different. So your role as a leader is to find people who are already motivated and then inspire them and provide them the environment to be successful. So one of the things I've learned over the years is, be very clear as a leader on like, what is your vision? What's, the Simon Sinek golden circle. Everyone has a or what we do. Everyone has a how we do it, but not everyone has the why. So be very clear on your why and understand that, and drive clarity of vision across your business. Whether you're a huge business or a startup, it's easier when you're a startup because it's easier to get consensus, but have that kind of, this is why we exist. This is how we're going to change the world. And if you can then articulate that when you're talking to people that you're bringing into your business, who you're looking to, help, you really want them to come in and help you turn it into something massive. They understand that, and look for the people when you say that vision, they kind of lean in and they're like, oh, that's really interesting. That's exciting. And you can see that spark of motivation to learn. And then ask questions like, how do you, one of my favorite interview questions is like, how do you learn? And I'm not looking for, there's like a million different answers, but I'm just looking for someone who's like, oh, like this or like that. And I might follow with the question of like, what are you looking to improve on right now, whether it's professional or outside of work? Are you having golf or tennis lessons? But people who are always looking to learn, grow, improve, and build things. And it's particularly in my current role, I'm employee number one. I'm actively interviewing for employee number two, 3, and possibly a couple more. And I'll be very open, like, hey, this role, you're going to be employee number 2. I'm really looking for a partner that can come in, and help me build this business. Say it's to look after supply, like you'll be responsible for supply, and I'll go and look after the demand and the other elements of the business. And I want people who are like, oh, that's great, that lean in and got that excitement. They want to own something, they want to build something. So I'd say, particularly in a startup, look for people who are genuinely inspired by your vision and want ownership and want to build something. Because if you can find those people, and it's worth the time looking for them, they won't come to work for the money. They'll come to work to build the thing, and the money is a pleasant side effect, and that'll take care of itself because they'll be good at what they do.
I love that. Okay, so Gareth, you said you're employee number 1, right? And you said that it's really important to have that clear vision. So example, we're going to hire employee number 2. So you're in a room, you have to say what your vision is, and you have to give your elevator pitch in like 3 minutes, 1 minute or 2 minutes. So how are you going to do it?
Oh, okay. I think, simply put, doceree is going to be the first truly global platform for programmatic precision only marketing. We proved that because we exist in the US, but we also exist in India. So no other company has taken an offering out of the US. And US regulatory is very, very different. So we've already proven the model works internationally. And our vision and our why is around driving, engaging physicians with timely clinical messaging to drive better patient outcomes. And if that's something you want to be involved in, I can spend as long as you've got talking about the what and the how. But that's how I'd articulate it. That we're a proven technology, we've proven our use case. And we want to make the world a better place for doctors, patients, and everyone that wants to interact with a doctor.
All right. Okay. So you said a while ago, as a leader, you have to choose motivated people, right? You're not to screen them, but okay, choose motivated people. So are there non-performers in a high-performing team? And how do you handle them?
Yeah, I mean, you won't be in a leadership role very long before you encounter someone who's not performing. Now, there's probably kind of multiple reasons for why that might be. The person may think they're doing a great job, and it could just be a lack of clarity around what success looks like. The person may not be motivated. So I think as a manager, as a leader, you have a responsibility to all your staff and everyone that's working for you to kind of invest that time in making sure they understand the vision and understand what success looks like for them. And I love like tools and management hacks, and I love nerding out around all the little process and things like that. And one sort of management or tool hack I've discovered is job scorecards. A job scorecard is similar to a job description in terms of it says what your title will be and kind of what you'll be doing day to day. But rather than just being a list of responsibilities and things like that, it covers that stuff really quickly. It says what your mission is, and then it says what you're responsible for delivering. So, say it's a supply role, you'll be responsible for building a pipeline, for closing deals, negotiating, etc. So that then gives that person, you grade it. So if you're hit this metric, you're green. If you hit this metric, you're super green, yellow, red, and so forth. So you're kind of giving them, as they come into the role, this is what success looks like. And, if you do anything, make this scoreboard super green. And anything you can do outside of that is a bonus. But this is where we kind of need to get to. And that's all wired into the vision. Everything pyramids up into the vision and the 10-year, 5-year goal for the business and things like that. So make sure that the person understands what success looks like, because it may be that they don't. And if they don't, and they think they're doing a great job, that's your fault for not telling them what the expectation was. So set your stall out early and have clarity. I'm a big believer in radical candor as well. So establish that kind of radical, I don't know, I can't remember the lady who wrote the book, but it's a great book, Radical Candor. And the concept of radical candor with care. So if someone's not doing a great job, tell them, or any kind of feedback, give it to them in a constructive way and do it with care and say, look, I'm going to tell you something. It may be difficult to hear, but it's coming from a good place because I want you to get better. And I always find if, as a leader as well, encourage them to do the same back. Say, look, I want feedback from you. So I'm going to give you constructive feedback anytime I see an opportunity where I think you can be better. I want you to do the same to me, and that can potentially make it feel less like a manager talking down and more like a collaborator. Let's be better together. So set your stall out, encourage radical candor, and then if they're motivated and they want to succeed, put them in the environment where they can and support them. What's the old adage? It's like, wants it, gets it, has the capacity. So if you can work out, well, yeah, they want it, they want to be here, they believe in the vision, they get it, they understand it, and they have the capacity for that role, it's off to the races. Now, if one of those things, if they don't want it, that's cool. We can still be friends, but you should probably work somewhere else. And I'll give you a reference. I'll help you with that. But if you don't want to be here, no one's forcing you. And the reality is, particularly for me, based in Europe, I'm in the Western world. It's no one needs to go and do a job that makes someone happy. And if they don't get it, again, if you really don't understand the why and how we're doing it, again, there will be, I don't think there's such a thing as an unmotivated person. Mm-hmm. I think everyone is motivated at something that, everyone has something that will motivate them. It's just connecting those dots. So if they're not motivated, they don't want it or get it, help them find someone else. And if it's a capacity issue, have you promoted them into a role they don't want to do? The classic example would be making your best salesperson the sales director or the sales manager. So you're not an individual contributor anymore. You now manage this team. Some of them love it and go on to be great. Some of them find it a really hard transition. So again, make sure you're playing to the individual strengths. And if you've moved them into a role because they were good at something else, under the assumption they'd be good, and they're not, and you have the opportunity to put them back, move them back and things. And I think with a startup as well, you have that kind of flexibility to kind of do stuff. But yeah, if they want to be here and they want to succeed, give them the tools, and if they don't, help them find something else.
Amazing. So, wow, that's gold. Radical Candor. We should all check that out. Okay.
Yeah, great book.
Time really flies, but okay, as a president leading the UK and European market, how do you plan to establish your product?
So, in as short answer possible, I really want to establish some strategic partnerships with companies on both the demand and the supply side. They can understand and share our why. Why are we here? We want to make healthcare more efficient. We want to put the right information in front of the right physician at the right time. We're not in the business of just executing advertising briefs. So find people that want to build a better mousetrap, whether they're medical publishers, whether they're agencies, brands, but find those partners and build strong relationships with them. So they become our kind of our early adopters, and then that gets us to the tipping point where we can get the kind of the rest of the market that's more in that kind of Me Too mode. But yeah, finding the right partners with it, and then they're out there. They're definitely out there that kind of see the same vision as us and like our approach to doing it. As I say, we're blazing some new trail in some areas, and I think we've got a really powerful kind of what and how. So finding the partners that want to take that time and invest and learn and do new things, that's what gets us to where we want to be in Europe and all the markets we want to open up.
Oh, all the best.
Oh, and plenty of hard work and a little bit of luck along the way. But I find the harder you work, the luckier you get. So I think they might be intrinsically linked.
So for entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and leaders, could you give us some tips, best practices?
Make sure you have a why, not a what and a how. Take the time to understand the why your business or the business you're going to join exists. If you're a leader joining an early stage startup, my biggest tip would be make sure that that why and that mission resonates with you personally. You don't get to call yourself a leader. You come in as a manager. Your job title, is manager versus individual contributor. Only the people that will follow you get to call you a leader. So if you're not passionate about the mission and the why, you can't fake it. People will see through it. So you can't expect to inspire others if you're not inspired yourself. So if you're going to go into any job, in my opinion, make sure you believe in what you're doing, because that will allow you to inspire others along the way. And then, like I said before, hire smart people that share that vision and build an environment that allows them to be successful. And I think, to the point I was making earlier, look for people that lean in and look excited when you're talking around growing, learning, building things.
What is your passion? I mean, how does it relate to Docker? Why? Why? How did it connect?
So my passion, I kind of discovered in my sort of 8-9 years at my last role, because I'd kind of been an individual contributor in the bigger companies I'd worked at. I'd always kind of wanted to be a manager, but more as that's how you climb the ladder. But I was a good doer, and I seemed to do a lot of doing jobs. And then by luck, when I joined my previous company, my MD left within the first year I was there, and I kind of got put into interim and did an okay job, enough of a job to then get made the MD and then the leader of that business, the manager of that business, and then became the leader of that business over time. And in doing that, I went on a really great journey. I worked with some great leaders and coaches who really sort of helped me identify different techniques, tools, and tips. And I really developed a passion for building things. Like I say, I see I'm very systems driven, so I see the world as puzzle pieces. There's possibly more than one right way, but you can take any kind of collection of things and you can arrange them into an optimal manner. And I love doing that, whether it's strategic pieces in building a strategic plan and executing that plan, whether it's a team of, I've got 3 account managers, and they're, where did that, how can I, is one really good at relationships, one's really good at technology, one's really good at troubleshooting. How can I take the best parts of each and cross-pollinate things like that? Or whether it's, building process, and when I say building process, it's what's the minimum amount of process I can get away with to make everything work and be scalable. But I really enjoy that building. And I've kind of, through luck, been through a few different jobs in search, performance display, videos, selling sponsorships, working with data, learning about healthcare, being in a startup, programmatic, learning how, being coached to be a better leader, that I've built not a unique skill set, but a skill set that I find quite intriguing. And now for me, it's, well, how can I take the skills and the knowledge I've acquired to do that building thing? And, Docker is in two spaces, a foot in both camps of two places I've been. And I see what they're trying to do. And, when I was younger, pushing adverts in front of people to pay my mortgage was great. And as I get a little bit older, I kind of want to work for a company that's, you got a higher purpose and trying to make in a small way, make the world a better place. So yeah, my passion really is building things and leveraging the skills and experience that I've acquired over my career to do so. And Docker just seemed to be a great fit for what I wanted to do. So yeah, I'm here and along for the ride.
This is the IAM podcast. Now we want you to fill this statement. Okay. I am Gareth, your blank UK and Europe president. Like, what do you want to be known for as a leader?
It's hard to say. I want to be remembered as the guy and the leader that was able to deliver clarity around a purpose and align teams and resource and technology to deliver it. So a kind of an integrator.
Oh, I love that. Integrator, a leader, and someone who provides clarity on purpose. Well,
yeah,
you're like a coach.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Well, we'll see. Okay. Well, thank you, and all the best to Docker. And you, of course.
Thank you very much.
This podcast is powered by IAMOps.io. Optimize your cloud infrastructure and CI/CD process with IAMOps.io dedicated DevOps team. Check out www.iamops.io and get a DevOps team now. Make sure to check out www.iamops.io if you want to know more about us. Subscribe to our podcast so you can get notified every time we post a new video. Thank you, and you have a great day.